We are so excited to introduce our next guest, co-head of database strategy, John Bennett, to the Go AI podcast. John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, guys, I'm happy to be here, and the Cliff Notes version of John Bennett, and not to speak about myself in the third person, but so I was a below average college baseball player, wasn't very good, got hurt, went to umpire school when I was 20 years old. I wanted to go to the ballpark and get paid every day to do so. So I went down to Florida in January when I was 20 years old in 1994. I missed the big snowstorm in Louisville, but 5 weeks later, I messed up and got a job in the minor leagues. Climbed the system, tried to get to the big leagues, but 10 years later, they said, John, there's 64 guys here. They're not going anywhere, so thanks for playing. So I got my walking papers, but I had earned my degree from the University of Louisville in the off seasons.
So you were a professional umpire.
Professional baseball umpire for 10 years.
That's amazing.
My claim to fame was the first guy to say play ball at Slugger Field.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Nobody does. So that's
cool.
why it's fun. But it's a neat place. I enjoyed it. Got a lot of stories. But, I used to think that was the best job in the world, go to the ballpark every day. But it's really nice when you get to sleep in your own bed, too. So it isn't always there's a plan, right? Whatever happens is meant to be. So I got out of baseball, and I still did it collegiately in the SEC and ACC for a long time, up until 2015. But after I got out of baseball, it was kind of hard to find a job. People really didn't understand the conflict resolution skills, the traveling, the people management type of situations. So it took me a while to land, but I've been in IT sales for quite some time, 20 plus years. My dad was a used car salesman, and that's where I get a lot of my grit and I'm not going to say quick-wittedness, but I get a lot of my hustle from seeing my dad do what he did over the years. I learned, though, that I didn't want to be a car salesman.
I love it because I'm automotive was kind of where I cut my
get
teeth.
it.
So I love that you said that because used car sales is something, especially back in the day. So
And it's changed so much over the years, and I don't know how they do it today, but I can remember going in and seeing a big board at the dealership and how many cars someone.
Oh, it's still very similar to that. At
You know how it is.
dealerships. Yes.
So
Yes.
I saw that growing up firsthand, and he hustled a lot, and that's where I get a lot of my hustle and work ethic from. I attribute that to my dad, but he was a people person too, and I really tried to meet as many people as possible. I'm not the smartest guy out there, and I don't want to be, right? It's okay, but surrounding yourself with people that are doing cool things, being curious. I love the Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah.
But just showing sincere curiosity around what others are doing. It's fun, especially in this area. There's a lot of people doing some cool things in this region.
I agree.
And just reaching out for a coffee to understand what they're doing and hopefully connect them with someone else who may be able to help or maybe have a need for that particular service or product. That's always fun.
It's like that collision point between and making that connection. Oh, I just met with somebody that's doing this. You should talk to, X, Y, Z, and seeing that happen based on, your efforts is pretty cool.
I think in the back of our minds, we always, there's no malintent. You love to help people, but how often does it come back to you tenfold, right? Just doing good things and trying to just help others. It always comes,
It always does.
It comes back to you, right?
Yeah.
So just be a good person and try and connect those that are doing some cool things.
Agreed. So now you're at Fortified Data.
Fortified Data.
And explain to our audience what Fortified Data does.
So we help organizations manage their data, whether they're looking to leverage AI and get their data cleaned up in a manner to where AI can ingest it, or they're looking to migrate to the cloud and they need help moving those databases, or they just need daily care and feeding of databases. So we're that organization to help them keep their data in a state to where it's going to do some great things and be fast. I mean, how often do you hear someone say, "Hey, the application's slow today," or "Well, daggone it, it's the database." So we go in there and try to help them make things as fast as possible because time is money. But with where everything is going today, we're seeing an explosion of data, exponentially, and it's only gonna increase. So being able to have a solid foundation for data modernization, data governance, data architecture type projects, that's where we thrive, and it's a fun space to be in.
And that connects in a crucial way to artificial intelligence because AI is so dependent on data to do the work well. Otherwise, like as the saying goes, garbage in, garbage out, good data in, good results.
I think AI today is very similar to how cloud was 12 to 13 years ago, where you heard the cloud term quite a bit, and it's these marketing companies.
No, we're just, yes,
you know how it is.
totally.
They
We ruin everything.
They create the cloud term, and they did a phenomenal job, right? The cloud is this mystical thing
in
up
the
there.
air.
It's there. Just going to the cloud. So we're seeing AI thrown out a lot, and a lot of people don't fully understand what AI is. What is Gen AI? What is machine learning? What are these LLMs? And that term gets thrown out a lot because things just magically happen. But there's so much going on behind the scene, under the covers, that to your point, data has to be structured in a manner to where these LLMs can ingest it efficiently and learn and do what they do to have the exports be helpful.
So you meet with companies, and let's say you meet with 10 different companies. How many of them would you say are data ready?
That's a great question. And we work with organizations, Fortune 100 all the way down to SMB. The majority are not data ready. And if they are, they've got a dedicated team to help them get to that point more times than not.
Okay.
That's where they need some help. And it's funny. I'm going to tell the story. My son has his room in the basement, right? And he's got a bathroom and all this fun stuff. And he's got a toilet that rocks a little bit. And I tried to get in there and fix it a couple years ago and nail it down and replace the wax seal. And I just could never do it right. And my wife said, "You know what? I'm calling the plumber. They're going to come over here and fix it." And I'm like, "You know what? Okay, great." Well, today the plumber came over, and 20 minutes in, he was done. The problem was fixed. And I think to myself, I've been waiting all these years to get this thing fixed. It took him 20 minutes because he had the right tools. He knew what he was doing. So I share that because it's so applicable to what we see today, whether it's marketing or AI tools or data projects. Organizations get stretched thin, and sometimes they may or may not have the right skill set to work on a particular project. But when they bring the experts in and they're able to fix something in 20 minutes to help them be more productive, I mean, that's the cool stuff. And the tech today, the plumber today, great guy, great company. We've used them forever. I'm going to give Kinzer and Kinzer a plug out in LaGrange, Kentucky.
Perfect. We'll tag them. Perfect. Maybe they'll want to come on.
Hey, great sponsor opportunity right here. You see, that's how we do, Jenna.
There we go. That's connections.
That's how we do. But it's so you can apply that story to so many different verticals and situations to where that's the fun stuff. So that's what we do. We're the experts that come in, help organizations get their data structured in a manner to do their business.
Now, if I look at that, you're a smart guy. I know that you said that you're not the smartest one in the room, but you are. And why did it take you years to make that phone call when I'm pretty sure you have the money to pay that plumber? Because I see that in a lot of companies where, listen, their bandwidth, they've tried it, it didn't work. They do have the funds to invest in, whether they outsource, for just data governance, data management, whatever it is, but they kind of wait and don't do it. I oftentimes think it's a fear of they're just not educated in what, for instance, the plumber's doing, why they need to do this. And so, because obviously there came a point where your wife or your son was like, okay, I've had enough. Are you seeing businesses say that and be like, I've had enough. I know I need to do this. I have the funds. I'm going to go.
Well, a lot of times, Jenna, I think it's the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
How much is this project going to cost me, right? This project is going to be really expensive, and I'm not sure if I have the funds for this, or I don't even know what it looks like.
Okay.
Scenario today, 20 minutes. It's not going to break me, right?
Correct. Yeah.
However, I thought it was going to be a intricate project, and what put me over the edge was there was an odor coming because the not to get too graphic, but the toilet wasn't sealed right, and the gases came up, and we're like, enough, okay, we're going to get this fixed right, and we did, and
You wish you would have done it sooner.
wish I would have done it sooner because it's not going to be that much money, and with what you do daily, helping organizations, sometimes you can go in there and do something small that has significant value.
Of course.
Right? And whether it's in the marketing side, advertising side, digital, data, it doesn't, sometimes just getting in there and starting, how do you eat an elephant,
One bite at a
type
time.
situation and get in there and showing value to help organizations see, hey, we can do some cool things here. We don't have to get the Cadillac. We don't have to get I showed
Let's
my age.
start with the Civic.
I showed
Let's
my
just
age.
start-
Let's get in younger, like my son's a supercar guy. You don't have to get the Bugatti out of the gate. I can do okay with the Civic, right?
Yeah, that's all
and
I
it's
need
still
right
going to
now.
get me from point A to point B and help me set that foundation for the success.
So AI is a very quickly growing field right now. How is it transforming the database management industry?
Organizations are becoming more aware of the data they have and realizing they're not ready. The majority of organizations are not ready to make that leap for their own custom AI type of implementations. However, what we're seeing with the co-pilots and the ChatGPTs and the Genesises of the world and the Claudes, the employees are going and doing it themselves to the other AI engines, and with that comes compliance challenges because data governance, right? So these organizations are, you got a rogue employee that's doing some great things, but who knows where that data is residing that they just ingested into the engine.
Eesh.
So I share that. The majority of organizations are they're all exploring AI. It's very similar to cloud again. A lot of those CFOs, CIOs, CEOs may have been on an airplane and read a magazine, hey, you got to go to the cloud. So they give the CIO and IT leaders a project, hey, I want you to explore and see what this looks like. And more times than not, they came back and said, well, cloud's going to be more expensive. And
wow.
it really is.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that we're seeing a similar type of pattern to where the business leaders are hearing AI, and they're tasking their team with going down that path. And it's not an easy project, probably, right? To get everything structured in a manner to where they can take advantage of AI. So it's not an easy process, but you got to start somewhere. And AI is the worst it's ever going to be. So it's only going to get better.
I love that. The AI is the
Well,
worst it's ever going to be.
I'm going to give props to Mike Meyer, my partner in crime for a long time.
Mike's a good guy.
He told me that the other day, and I stole it from him. So, Mike, there you go.
And what about within the very process of database management? What AI applications are there that can really help with that process?
Whether it's database management, graphic design, marketing, we've got all these tools available now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are tools out there that help organizations with these processes that can be automated and do some cool things. But databases they're so nuanced that having that person sitting in the chair to when things go bump in the night at 2 a.m. or that process didn't complete as it was supposed to, and things go bump in the night, having that person available to address the situation, we're still not to the point to where we still need to have that. For organizations that are dependent upon their applications being up, you need that person sitting in the chair when things don't go correctly.
Still need a human at the wheel.
You still need but there are tools out there and there's going to continue to be tools that are popping up to help organizations manage their data. And it's like all the other pieces, right? Whether it's marketing, data, what have you, we're going to have tools available to help us do things magically, but it's still hard to take away from that human intervention.
So do you meet with a lot of CEOs or chief technology officers? Who are you meeting with? Like, who is making this decision in the organization around their data?
IT projects in general, I have more financial conversations than anything
That makes sense.
with what we do, right? Because it all comes down to the bottom line. How can we help an organization be more efficient and drive towards improving profitability? And
So the CFO possibly.
yes, and well, we're talking to the CIO, IT leaders, chief data officers, But that CFO conversation happens more often than you would think.
Well, no, that makes sense because if they want to make that investment, the CFO has to understand, well, if we make this now, how is it going to benefit, the P&L here?
What's
in
the
next,
ROI here, right?
exactly.
So
Well,
and TCO's ROIs, can I come up with another 3-letter acronym? But it all matters. And security is evolving at the speed of light. Data management and things of that nature is constantly evolving. And I feel for the businesses out there today because they're constantly vetting options, and it's hard. I was talking to one of the IT leaders of a large healthcare organization here the other day, and he said security makes IT not fun anymore because it's constantly, there's always something, and I get it, and it just takes money, right, to be protected, and you can throw a whole bunch of money at something, but still not be protected. There's always that what if. So I think we're going to see more of those types of IT not being fun. But that's why we have jobs, right? We're out there to do what we do.
I think so.
We can only try, right?
Right. Exactly.
But let me ask you this. In your world, so I can recall it's probably been 3 years since we sat down. We've sat down before then, but we had a conversation a few years ago, and you've been all in on AI for quite some time, helping organizations with campaigns to where things happen and pictures are in certain places based on aesthetics and whatnot, and
where they're looking, and
correct. So you've been on the AI train for a while now.
Yeah.
How have you seen it change in the last several years with what you do?
I mean, Connor, I'll let you also answer this question, but once ChatGPT rolled out to consumers and the public, that's when we really saw the shift of our clients wanting to learn what technology was out there. Before then, it kind of was, oh, that's cool, but I don't need to implement it. And then once it kind of went out into the world as, oh, wow, this technology is available for me to just sit down and play with. Wow, I wonder as a business owner how this could integrate into my advertising, into my company operations. That's when I felt like people were paying attention, or at least our client base was paying attention. And that saying, the teacher appears when the student's ready to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like we were a little early in communicating that, even though we really weren't. AI has been around for a long time.
Right.
Google, even for several years, has had a whole search campaign. It's called a Performance Max campaign, and it's all AI generated. So we put in as advertisers, what we want, and then we have to let it learn, and then we make changes and optimize. And I remember when that campaign rolled out, just explaining it to clients, they weren't that intrigued or interested. But again, when then they were able to use the technology themselves at home on their iPhone, they're like, okay, now it's clicking. I need to pay attention a little bit. Where can I use this in other areas?
Very much so. And I think you hit the nail on the head. People are doing it at home outside of work hours because we're thinking about the what ifs.
Yeah.
How I've got this idea. I wonder what it will do here, or how can I get it to give me the best response? And prompt engineering is a whole new thing. And
oh yeah.
And there's so many terms for it. And that's what I'm enamored with right now, is trying to understand how I can best use AI with what I do on a daily basis, whether it's work related or dealing with my kids. And matter of fact, my son, he's got an internship this winter, and he says, "Hey, Dad, I'm working on this thing, and can you help me? I need a proposal thought, and they want me to help manage their social media, so on and so forth, and boom, boom, boom. Hey, create a social media campaign management proposal
for this company. Yeah.
and Jake, here's an idea, right? And we're going to leverage AI to get ideas back and banter back and forth. That's a great tool to have, and I love the speech functionality of ChatGPT. Driving in the car and having a conversation because you've got a thought, you want to go down that path, whatever it might be. We're in a cool place right now. And it's about learning how to help the AI help you best.
Well, and I know I'm not supposed to talk about age, but you're at least 30. What would you
I've
say?
been 39 for a long time.
Okay, you've been 39 for a while. What would you say to people your age that aren't utilizing ChatGPT or, to your point, just getting curious about the technology? What would you say to them?
I think we're seeing less and less of that. I'm 51. I don't plan on retiring for the next 25 years, right? Unless I hit the lottery, which I'm still trying.
You might. There's plenty of time.
For
that.
example, I've got a father-in-law. He's around 75. This guy has embraced technology and he's using his phone. He's doing things, and I'm like, that's great. I want to be that accepting when I get to be 75, as far as trying different technologies. I think we've hit the point as a society to where you have been forced
to keep learning,
and you have been forced to leverage the technology available versus saying this is just a fad, because it's not a fad. It's only going to get more ingrained with what we do. I'm seeing fewer and fewer folks. I mean, heck, 50 is the new 40, and 40 is going to be
totally.
40 is the new 30. So I feel like I'm 30.
Oh, yeah.
But there's so many cool things coming out right now, and I challenge myself with trying different things. For example, the Notebook LM application, which I know it's been out for quite some time, but got exposed to that about a month ago. And with what it's doing on creating AI podcasts based on information, things like that, so where my brain goes is, how can I use that to help my clients or to help overcome certain challenges? Yeah, it's cool that it does that, but let's take it a step further and see, where can we apply this in areas that haven't been
touched yet or solved
touched exactly. So whether it's, hey, I've got a potential client that has these challenges, I do this over here. Can the AI create a conversation to where it shows through a conversational format how XYZ company can help ABC company overcome a challenge? That's, getting creative in those areas. That's the fun part for me.
Yeah, that's one of the more interesting applications of generative AI. Is you can give it pretty bare bones stuff like, a text prompt, and suddenly you get back a full-fledged mini podcast that does, like what you said, just relay information in a consumable way. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a podcast or like a full-blown chart, or just a little blog. These applications are pretty just the organization of information in an interesting way, and in a creative way, is one of the ways that I would say generative AI is really going to affect just business to business communication and business to customer communication. But circling back to database management in particular, what within that process would you like to be able to automate that you haven't been able to do?
So code, for example, being able to, so we all know that the AI engines can generate code. Well, I'm saying a lot of them will generate code based on what you're telling it. It may not be the best code in the world. So that's another area.
I've even put code in and said, please fix this.
Correct. So that
this script needs your help.
So the founder of Fortified Data, his name's Ben DeBow. He's been doing Fortified Data for 20 plus years, but he's got another company called Fortified, which is about 4 years old, and it's around a tool that he developed that really goes in and looks at code to understand how much a line of code costs. For example, if you're running it in the cloud, does that one line of code allocate, or is that 50% of my cloud spend, or what does that look like? So from an automation perspective, to answer your question, where would I like to see automation take place with databases? I think we're going to continue to see automation around code improvement, because it accounts for a lot of the costs in the cloud. And that's one of the things that have been developed over at Fortified and is having a tremendous success with, is really drilling down and understanding how much a line of code costs an organization, which has never been done before. And he's got a tool that does it, which is, it blows a lot of people's mind, especially for those that, hey, they were on-prem, they had an application written from someone overseas. Yeah, it works, but is that application written in a manner that's going to be cloud productive? And right now they're getting their cloud bills and thinking, why did I go overseas to get this done?
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, there's some good stuff that happens overseas, don't get me wrong, but having an application that will work as well as be cost effective when it does make that jump to the cloud, that's another animal.
And a related question, what in database management would you like to never see automated
Yeah.
and always have a human element involved in?
Sales.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
joking.
I think you still will need some of that human touch, even for nurturing big like sales leads.
There's those that bang the drum around AI is going to take our jobs and things of that nature. AI is not taking our jobs. AI is helping us do things that to help us be more efficient, right, in certain areas. And we can reallocate human resources to do other things. So I realize there's those that fear AI is going to take jobs, and it will make things look different, but it just allows us to go out and try other things and things of that nature. But we can wish all day long, but if it can be automated, it probably will be.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, as you know, whether it's sales, operations, what have you, you have to go in and show your value as an employee, and kind of AI's competition to an extent. It isn't going to take our jobs all the time, but you just have to go in and show your value as an employee and be that differentiator.
Well, and Connor, I think you said this in another episode. It's not AI that's going to take your job. It's another person that's using AI
Correct.
that will. And it's, if you are a, CEO and you're looking at, who am I hiring? Am I hiring or keeping and letting go? The person that, technically is 3 people because they're utilizing all these tools and their efficiencies through the roof, versus someone who still isn't embracing it and has
Right.
that mindset and isn't as efficient, even though they are good at what they do. It's just, you're going to have to at some point make those decisions.
Well, we were talking earlier before we started rolling about AI in sports.
Yes.
So the AI in sports, having been on that side of the, a glutton for punishment in a sense, right? Being that umpire that I may have missed a few things during my time, but with how AI has evolved, and we've all seen the square box on the TV, and it's going to continue to be a force not only in baseball, but we see it in tennis and we see it in football. I mean, there's technology that is going to be helping people make calls. Last year in the minor leagues, for example, I was in Charlotte for work, and a buddy of mine oversees the umpires for minor league baseball. And we met up in Charlotte, and we're talking, and I said, hey, the plate umpire, he's doing a good job right there. He goes, yeah, it's all automated. I said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, he's got a device in his ear. It was either in his ear or a buzz system to where if it crosses through the zone, he gets buzzed, and then he calls it what it is,
Okay.
right? What he's told to call it. So they did a lot of that last year, and it's pretty cool.
I think it's awesome.
It is, but there's certain things that AI or technology can't do. For example, it can't hear. I say it can't. At this time, it doesn't hear a foul tip or a bat hit a glove, or it doesn't. It's not able to tell you if a player is safe or out potentially.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like someone trying to steal a base, and you as the umpire have to make that call. I don't think that AI is there yet.
It's not there yet, but they are leveraging technology for replays and whatnot.
Sure.
But I do think technology advancements and AI are 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but in our lifetime, I think we'll see sports continue to go down that path because these bonus babies are making a lot of money, and if that ball clips the zone, they want that strike. And I get it. It's just I think the officials at the big league level have done a great job of embracing AI and tech. You're seeing a lot of benefits from it. For example, there's a lot less ejections in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak to that.
Gosh, football. I'm like, can we get a move on here?
Correct.
Like, why are we
It takes
taking
some time,
12
doesn't
minutes?
it? Oh my
We're
gosh.
taking 12 minutes to review one play. Like, come on.
You're exactly right. And then so sports is going to continue to evolve, and technology will always be a component of it moving forward.
So I used to love rotary phones as a kid. We had one in our kitchen. Obviously, right now in this day and age, that is not efficient. I wouldn't be able to use.
Wait, you had
phone.
one in the kitchen. You didn't have your own personal
I didn't have
line
my
in your
own.
room?
No,
that
I
you could-
didn't. I had strict parents.
All right.
But that's one thing. Whenever I walk by, whether it's in a hotel or a restaurant, I love rotary phones. I think they're it's just nostalgic to me. What do you think you're going to look back and be like, like I missed that era when, there were these phones.
I know the answer. I miss being somewhere where I wasn't on video.
Oh,
I miss those
fair
days.
enough.
I talk about umpiring a lot because it was a big part of my life, but there were times in the minor leagues to where if I'm in Podunk, wherever, sometimes it was about survival. And if someone might have said something to me, I might have said something back. And, that happened. And the next day we're good. Let's play baseball and go on.
But it wasn't on video.
It wasn't on video. And whether it's kids today, whether it's sports, you can't hide today. And so I got out at the right time because I wasn't that good. And now everything is, down to the tenth of an inch, whether something was right or wrong. So I got out at the right time, but that's the part that I miss. I wish our kids could experience some of that. I wish there were opportunities to have less technology and unplug.
When it comes to things like cleaning data, organizing data, and whatnot, that's kind of seen as integral to creating good data.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define, for any business owners who are listening to this podcast and thinking, well, what even is good data? How would you define that?
Let's look at it from the converse. What's bad data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess good data would be anything that isn't bad. So if we are conscious enough to make sure and get all the bad data out, right,
Mm-hmm.
and purge that, now we've got an opportunity to look at what's good. And now maybe that what we have left over here, it's not all good, but it's a good start. We know what bad data is. Let's kick that out. Let's purge that. So now we've got something to work with over here, and we'll continue to refine that ball of good and make it great over time. So it doesn't happen overnight, and I think that's where there's a lot of
Like people think it could happen in a week.
Oh, well, I learned a long time ago, things aren't easy in the IT space. So I don't say that word very much. It takes time, and understanding the scope and the needs, it matters. And setting false expectations get people in trouble. So it isn't easy. It doesn't happen quickly more times than not, but you've got to start somewhere. And if the goal is to leverage AI, you've got to have good data. So how do we make that happen? How do we create that foundation for success now, as well as 5, 10, 20 years from now? And that's what I think organizations are truly contemplating right now. Where do we start? And they don't want to fix the problem here. They want to have a foundation for success ongoing.
Would you say the majority of leaders that you meet with that want clean data, do they know what problem operationally they want to resolve with that data?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay.
Sometimes the $1 million question is, find me a correlation that's going to help us save some money. Or I'll talk in terms of baseball, for example. I've got kids, and as they came up through their sports, it's all about the technology now, right? They're gathering metrics, and those create baselines, and you're able to improve on those baselines. So in baseball, a big thing right now is spin rate, whether it's youth or big league, or whatever that looks like.
What is that?
Spin rate is literally how fast the ball is spinning, RPM. So they've got technology that can capture that information. So by capturing that information, they're able to say, hey, chances are pretty good that person's going to go to the big leagues. Now, that didn't happen overnight. Someone had to say, hey, these 4 pitchers are doing really, really well. Their spin rates are all really high. There must be a correlation there. So I think the secret sauce is trying to understand, whether it's baseball or you're making widgets or whatever that is, they don't know what they don't know. And how can they find those correlations that are going to help drive opportunity? And that's where a lot of people, maybe there needs to be a new title created for that person.
There probably needs
opportunity finder.
Yeah. I mean, there needs to be. So, John, first of all, I wish this conversation could continue for another hour. This has been fascinating. But what would you say to listeners, mostly business owners, for this podcast, just to leave them with a little words of wisdom. I mean, especially in the new year, if they're not really paying attention to AI.
Whether it's AI or tech in general, I leave business owners with make an effort to look at tech in your business as a revenue generator versus a cost center.
Ooh, I haven't heard that before. That's good.
I try.
That's good. I agree.
But
it's hard.
Far too often, IT departments or the tech departments get looked at as, the cost centers.
But that's like retraining your brain. Like, come dream with me, and
Correct.
let's just explore without thinking about cost.
And that's where you're seeing the IT leaders that are extremely successful are able to convey that value up the chain versus saying or submitting a proposal for something and leadership saying no, them saying okay and just going away. Being able to sell value for what they're doing is important. And so for the takeaway for the C-levels for 2025, challenge your IT staffs to show value in that department and look at it as a revenue generator versus a cost center.
Okay, I love that. Thank you for leaving us with that. So, John, how do people find you? Where do they go if they want to touch base?
I'm a LinkedIn nerd. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Just John Bennett.
John Bennett, linkedin.com/IN/JBennett3. But I'm a big LinkedIn nerd, and I'm always up for a good coffee. So, but I don't like to reach out and just ask people for coffee. I like to bring value to the meeting. And I forgot where I learned that, maybe a Gary Vaynerchuk or something like that.
Probably.
Years ago. Bring value to that meeting. Don't just pick their brain. Share with them what you're seeing in your industry to where it may be applicable to them, and they can take that information and make some good use of it.
And hey, you never know who or what will be connected from there.
The first time we met was over coffee, so
Totally.
that was a long time ago.
And
so
look where we are now.
We're sitting here in a basement on a podcast. I love
it. Well, John, thank you so much.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
appreciate you. Go follow John, and thank you for being on the Go AI podcast.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.